Welcome. This is the complete walkthrough of the superior local trade copier. Every concept, every setting, explained in plain language, from a blank install to a fully configured follower account. If you have ever wanted one trading decision to happen on more than one account at the same time, you have wanted a trade copier. Here is the idea in one sentence: a trade copier watches everything one account does, every trade it opens, every stop it moves, every trade it closes, and reproduces that, automatically, on one or more other accounts, within moments. No retyping the order. No switching between windows. You act once, on the account you call the master, and every account you call a follower does the same thing. People use this for a handful of very different reasons, and it is worth naming them, because the reason you are using it changes which settings actually matter to you. You run more than one trading account, maybe at different brokers, maybe different account sizes, and you want them to all trade the same way without you doing the work 3 times. You are doing prop firm or funded trading, where you might have a challenge account and a funded account, or several funded accounts, and you want one set of decisions to flow to all of them, each with its own risk rules. You are a signal provider or a money manager running a master account that other accounts, yours or a client's, need to mirror. Or you want to run the same strategy at different sizes, or even in reverse, as a hedge. Every one of those is possible with one tool, because a good trade copier does not just clone trades, it lets the follower reshape what it receives, bigger, smaller, with different stops, with limits on how much it is allowed to risk, filtered down to only certain symbols, only certain hours, only certain strategies if the master runs more than one. That reshaping is most of what this video is going to walk through. There are 2 broad kinds of trade copier: remote ones, which relay your trades through a server somewhere on the internet, and local ones, which do not use the internet at all. This is a local copier. Both the master and every follower have to be running on the same computer, or the same always-on remote Windows machine, called AVPS, which is how most people actually run this, so it works 24 hours a day without their own PC needing to stay on. Here, specifically, the 2 sides talk through a folder. Every MetaTrader 5 installation on the same PC can already read and write, MetaTrader's own shared common files folder. That one detail has a nice side effect: your master and your follower do not have to be 2 copies of the same broker's platform. They can be 2 completely different brokers' terminals, installed normally, side by side, and this still works, because the link is not between the brokers, it is between 2 programs on the same Windows machine. The trade-off is honest and worth saying out loud: because it is local, it cannot copy between 2 physically separate computers. That is the one hard limitation. In exchange you get something remote copiers cannot offer: there is no third-party server holding your trade data, no subscription fee to a relay service, and no network hop adding delay between the moment the master acts and the moment the follower does. Installing this is the same 3-minute job as installing any other automated strategy on your platform. Open your platform's data folder, drop the file into the folder your platform loads its automated strategies from, and refresh the list until it shows up. Attach it to any chart. For this EA specifically, the chart symbol does not matter, because it watches your whole account, not just that one chart. Turn on automated trading for the platform generally, and tick the one permission box that lets this specific EA trade. That is it. Nothing here needs internet access permissions, because, as we just covered, it never uses the internet. You are going to do this exact same install on 2 terminals, the one that will be your master, and the one that will be your follower, because this program is one file that behaves as either role, depending on a single setting you will set next. Before touching a single setting inside the EA, you need two trading terminals open at the same time, on the same computer. The easiest version of this is simply two different brokers' platforms, installed the normal way, nothing special required. If you want to copy between two accounts at the same broker, most platforms will not normally let you open the same installation twice, so you install a second, independent copy of it and log your second account into that copy instead. Once both are open, logged in, and both have this EA attached with automated trading switched on, they will find each other automatically in the next step. There is no IP address to type, no port number, nothing technical to share between the two windows, just one shared word, which is next. On the account you are copying from, the master, open this EA's settings and look for the very first one, trading mode. It is a drop-down with three choices. Receiver is a follower, that is not this side. Sender is what you want here, it means this account is the one being watched and published. The third option, self-copier, exists purely for testing the EA's own logic on one account without needing a real second terminal, it is not for production use. Set this to sender. Then find pairing ID, think of it as the name of the radio channel this master broadcasts on. Type anything you like, a word, a short phrase, it just has to be exactly the same, letter for letter, on the follower side too. That is genuinely the only two settings that matter on the sender. Every other setting in this EA is read by the follower, not the master. The master's job is just to publish, faithfully, everything it does. Now the follower. Attach the same EA there, and set trading mode to receiver this time. Type the exact same pairing ID you used on the master. This single step, getting these two fields to match, is the one thing beginners get wrong most often, and when they do not match, nothing copies and nothing tells you why. Three small toggles round out this first group, whether manually closing a copy should also close the original trade on the master, off by default, whether to show the on-screen status panel, and whether to print every setting to the platform's log the moment the EA starts. Turn that on the first few times you configure a follower so you can double-check nothing important got left at a value you did not intend. A magic number base then gives every copy a unique internal tag so the EA can always tell its own copies apart from a trade you placed by hand. This next block is the filter bank. Everything here decides which of the master's trades even reach the follower, before any resizing or stop logic gets a say. You can filter by symbol name, by magic number, useful if the master itself runs more than one strategy and you only want to follow one of them, or by text inside the trade's comment. 4 independent switches decide what kind of activity gets through, buy trades versus sell trades, already filled market positions versus resting pending orders, and trades that already existed the moment you turned this on versus only brand new ones from now on. 2 more fields let you thin out a very active master, skip its first few trades on a symbol, or stop copying once a certain number have already gone through. And then 2 settings that change the whole character of the copy, reverse direction, which flips every buy into a sell and every sell into a buy, swapping the stop and target to match, turning this from a mirror into a hedge, and a safety filter that refuses to copy anything the master itself opened with no stop loss at all. Beyond what copies, you can control when. There is a simple daily start and end time, and then a full weekly schedule. Every day of the week gets its own independent time window, so you could follow the master only during your local trading session and let the rest of the day pass untouched. There is also a way to add one-off blackout windows on top of that schedule, exactly what you would use to sit out a scheduled news release every day. A time zone offset corrects for the fact that your master's broker and your own broker might run their server clocks in different zones. Get this wrong and every other time-based setting quietly drifts. There is also a pair of settings that discard a signal that is simply too old to safely act on, handy after a dropped connection, so the follower does not suddenly try to open something that happened 5 minutes ago at a completely different price. And two more settings do something slightly unusual. They deliberately slow the follower down, an intentional delay, and a small random amount of extra jitter on top. Why would you want that? If you run several followers off one master, having them all fill in the exact same millisecond is a pattern some prop firms specifically watch for as evidence of copy trading, which their rules may not allow. A little randomness delay breaks that exact timestamp fingerprint. Here is a problem almost everyone running a copier across two different brokers eventually hits: your broker does not call a symbol the same thing the master's broker does. Maybe theirs adds a prefix, maybe yours needs a suffix, maybe an index like the Dow or the Nasdaq has a completely different ticker on each platform. This group solves exactly that: strip a prefix or suffix the master's broker adds, add one yours requires, hand map anything unusual with a simple this equals that list, and there are 5 dedicated fields just for the major indices, because their naming varies so wildly from broker to broker that they earn their own settings. If you only pay close attention to one setting in this entire EA, make it this one: lot size type. This is the model that decides how big every single copied trade is, and it has 19 options, because how big should the follower trade genuinely has that many different sensible answers depending on your situation. None switches sizing off entirely. Same lot size copies the exact size the master used, the simplest possible option, and the right starting point if you are new to this. Fixed lot ignores the master's size completely and always trades one size you choose yourself. Multiplier scales the master's size by a factor you set, half, for instance, copies everything at half the master's size, no matter what that size was. Multiplier by balance and multiplier by equity do something a bit smarter: they scale not just by a flat factor, but relative to the follower's own account balance or equity, so the follower's size adapts automatically as its account grows or shrinks. Proportional by balance, proportional by equity, and proportional by free margin size the follower purely from its own account figures, essentially ignoring how big the master's account is, appropriate when the master and follower are very different account sizes and you want the follower's risk to reflect its own capital, not the master's. Proportional multiplier by balance and proportional multiplier by equity combine those last two ideas. Risk per trade % balance, risk per trade % equity, and risk per trade % free margin take a completely different approach. Instead of copying a size, they calculate whatever size would make this specific trade risk exactly a chosen percentage of the follower's account, based on its stop-loss distance. This is genuine risk-based position sizing, and it needs a stop-loss distance to calculate from. If the master does not use one, a fallback setting supplies an assumed distance instead. Risk per trade money does the same calculation, but targeting a fixed currency amount of risk instead of a percentage. Lot size per 1000 balance and lot size per 1000 equity scale size by simple round units of account value. Specific lot size sequence lets you type your own list of sizes. The first copied trade uses the first number in your list, and so on, repeating once the list runs out. And risk % replication, the most faithful risk mirroring option, calculates the master's own risk as a percentage of its account, then sizes the follower's trade to risk that same percentage of the follower's own account. If you are not sure which to pick, new to copying and just want it simple, same lot size. Follower is always a fixed fraction of the master, multiplier. Follower's size should track its own account, not the master's, one of the proportional options. You want every trade to risk a fixed percentage no matter what stop distance is used, one of the risk per trade percent options. You want both accounts to always carry the same proportional risk percent replication. Everything else in this group builds on top of whichever model you picked, nudging the result up or down, overriding specific symbols by hand, clamping the final number within sane bounds, and, right at the bottom, an entirely optional martingale-style progression that changes the next trade size based on your recent run of wins or losses. That last block changes your risk profile meaningfully, so only turn it on if you specifically want that behavior. Stop loss and take profit each get their own mode drop-down. Off means never set one. Copy master uses the master's own price, scaled and nudged by settings right next to it. Fixed points throws away whatever the master used and always applies one flat distance you choose instead. Take profit has a fourth option the stop loss does not, own risk reward, which builds the target from the follower's own stop distance multiplied by a risk to reward ratio you set. Beyond the basic stop and target, there is a full break-even mechanic, move the stop to entry once the trade reaches a profit level you define, and a full trailing stop, plus a hidden trailing option the EA tracks internally rather than sending to the broker as a visible order at all. In fact, the entire stop loss and take profit mechanism can be run this way, invisibly. That is a deliberate trade-off. Some brokers or prop firms penalize visible stops, but hiding them also means the position has no protection at all if the terminal or the EA itself is not running at the moment price gets there. This group lets each copied trade scale itself out gradually, completely independent of whatever the master does, up to 10 stages on the profit side, and 10 more on the loss side, per trade. You choose what triggers a stage, a percentage of account balance, a fixed money amount, a distance in points or pips, or a multiple of the trade's own stop-loss distance. You choose whether each stage's percentage is measured against the position's original size or against whatever is still open. Then it is simply 10 trigger and percentage pairs going up, and 10 more going down. Leave a stage's trigger at 0 and that stage is switched off. You can type them in any order. The EA sorts them out internally, so even if price gaps straight through 3 levels at once, all 3 still fire correctly in the same pass. Where partial closing manages one trade at a time, the basket exits group manages everything currently copied, added together, as if it were one single position. Independent take profit, stop loss, break-even and trailing controls exist here too. This is what you would reach for if the master trades a strategy that opens several related positions at once, a grid, or several symbols moving together, and you want a way to say close everything the instant the combined result hits this number. Two groups then exist purely to put a ceiling on how much risk the follower can ever be carrying. Exposure limits cap raw numbers, how many trades, how much volume, how many different symbols, how much percentage of the account is at risk at once. Account protection goes further. It is a genuine compliance layer, built with funded and prop firm accounts specifically in mind. Turn it on, and you get a daily loss cap, an optional daily profit target that stops trading for the day once reached, an all-time drawdown cap from the account's peak, hard equity floors and ceilings, a margin level panic trigger, and 2 gentler throttles that simply pause new copies while either side's drawdown looks elevated. And if you are trading for a specific prop firm, there is a preset dropdown that configures all of this automatically to match a particular firm's published rulebook, rather than making you work out the exact formula yourself. The last two functional groups cover the mechanics most people never think about until something goes wrong. Execution settings control acceptable slippage, refuse a copy if price has already run too far from where the master got filled, and can even make the follower wait for a genuinely better price than the master got before filling at all. Closure settings mirror all of that for the exit side of a trade, plus a hard time-based force close, a daily flatten everything time, and a daily purge of leftover pending orders. Finally, notifications, email, mobile push, a dedicated higher priority alert specifically for account protection triggers, and an optional daily summary sent at a time of your choosing. Once it is running, a small on-chart panel keeps you informed without needing to open the settings at all. On the master, it shows whether it is actively publishing and how many followers are currently listening. On the follower, it shows connection status, which master it is linked to, today's drawdown against your configured limit, how many trades are currently open, and your current streak of wins or losses. The single most useful row is status. Green and connected means everything is working. Orange means account protection has temporarily paused new copies without closing anything. Red means a hard protection trigger fired. And if it ever says it is waiting to hear from a master at all, that is almost always one specific typo, the shared channel name typed slightly differently on the two sides. To make all of this concrete, here are 3 real configurations people run. A prop firm follower, risk-based sizing at a conservative percentage, account protection turned on with the matching firm's preset selected, and a breach set to close every open copy immediately rather than merely pausing. A half-size mirror account, the simplest non-trivial setup there is, a straight multiplier at 0.5, everything else left at its sensible default. And a reverse hedge, direction flipped, sized appropriately for the hedge account's own capital, used by traders who want a second account moving opposite to the first. Before you let this run unattended, place one small trade on the master and watch it actually appear on the follower. Confirm the size looks like what you configured, the stop and target look right, and the dashboard reads connected the whole time. That 5-minute test, done once, catches almost every configuration mistake before it costs you anything. After that, you are set up, and from here it runs on its own. That is the complete walkthrough. For the full numbered reference of all 217 settings, see the written complete user manual, cross-referenced to every screenshot in this video. Thanks for watching.